What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Round the Track with the Riders NASCAR podcast, featuring myself, SterlingRider, and Duke Rider.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Another lovely couple of weekends of racing, depending on how you look at
Well,
it.
could say one weekend was really, really good. The other one,
Not so much.
uh, good would not be the word that I would use. That's for sure.
Fair enough. so,
So yeah, we'll start out with some news. I don't know how late breaking the news is, but update on the Roush Fenway Racing, not Roush Fenway. Hello, Front Row Motorsports 2311. Wow, where did Roush Fenway Kozlowski get stuck up in here? They ain't suing nobody. Anyway, update on that lawsuit. The teams have requested financials from basically every sports league out there: Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, Formula One, IndyCar, because they want to be able to show that NASCAR is not fair in their dealings compared to other leagues, which I can understand why they're doing that, because NASCAR keeps saying, we're not stick and ball sports, but then they turn around and say, but we got to have that Game 7 moment. And
mm-hmm.
that's the whole reason we have the playoffs in the first place. So, this just kind of gives 2311 and Front Row some more ammunition if they're able to get this information from these other sports teams. The other one that really I find very that we talked about before with Legacy Motor Club and Rickware Racing. Not a whole lot has come out of that as far as like court proceedings and stuff like that. Um, but Tommy Baldwin spoke on the Door Bumper Clear podcast that he's now part of, and he said, here's the situation was when we originally looked at the paperwork, it said 2027 was when the charter was going to go to Legacy Motor Club. And when we got the paperwork, it said 2026. They already have a deal with. This is probably where RFK came into it. They already have a deal with RFK for RFK to lease that charter um, this year, as they're doing, and next year for the 60 car of Ryan Preece. My understanding, and from everything that I've seen and everything that I've read, is Rick Rail Racing is not selling out. They're not selling both charters. They're selling one of their two charters. And maybe in a year or two, they might sell the other charter and run as a part-time open team. But right now, they're planning, and I think that was where the 2027 disagreement came in. So,
Mm.
but other than that, there's really no updates on that. The other lawsuit that we talked about, the most ridiculous, dumbest lawsuit that I've ever seen in motorsports, was Lamar Jackson suing Dale Jr. And Dale Jr. pretty much cleared that up right off the bat. He said, "Look," he says, "it was over. It was not over the DI8 font. It was over the Junior Motorsports font that they'd been using since 2019." He says, we just were going to kind of keep it in our back pocket, but we really don't need it. So there's no point in going to court and fighting over something we don't need, because they already secured the rights to the DEI 8. So I would love to see Junior secure the rights for the DEI 1 as well, since he runs the one car in Xfinity. So, but other than that, I mean, that's the only major news that came out of the past couple weeks, and it's really not. It's talk right now. We'll wait and see what the courts are going to do. So, um, yeah, the other news was on the racetrack.
Yep.
And um, Darlington was Darlington. Okay. But the thing about Darlington, because we'll say, we've said Martinsville was Martinsville and Phoenix is Phoenix, right? The only thing is Darlington provides good racing because it doesn't seem to matter what tire Goodyear brings. Darlington is so hard on tires that if you've got 5 laps on your tires, you're pitting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes a difference. So now it didn't make a big difference in the stages, but in the long runs, if there was like 2 or 3 laps at the end of the stage, caution comes out, they run a couple laps to finish the stage. It really didn't have too much effect. The people with worn tires were able to keep track position, but at the same time it did, because there were some times that some teams changed tires. They started like 15th, restart with 2 laps to go, and they're in the top 5 at the end of the stage. So, but it was, all in all, the weekend at Darlington was a good weekend. Except that the one thing that Darlington was missing, well, 2 things. The one thing that Darlington was missing was the truck race. The trucks should be racing at Darlington in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that it was missing was good throwback schemes in the Cup Series. In the Xfinity Series, the teams that did it in the Xfinity Series, they knocked them out of the park.
Absolutely.
But in Cup, there were some decent ones. Of course, we've talked about the number placement just kills everything, but half the field didn't even run them.
Right. Yeah.
So that brings up the question, and I'm going to ask you the question that everybody asked that week. And you saw a lot of them. They asked a lot of drivers on social media. How do you feel about Throwback Weekend? Do you think it's run its course? Do you think it needs tweaks? Do you think we just need to let it go? Do you think we maybe do it every 3, 4, 5 years? What do you think?
So I'm kind of split with it all. Okay, first off, if we want to run throwback race schemes, we need to put the number where it was. I'm fine. I still don't like number placement with our next gen cars right now, but if we're gonna keep the number where it is when we do throwbacks, let them put it back on the door, because that's where they were for the actual throwback schemes. But at the same time, I could see how it's ran its course. To me, there's still a whole lot of random paint schemes we could run, but there's going to be a lot of fans that aren't going to exactly know where these paint schemes come from. Xfinity's doing great. They've found a way to keep really good paint schemes for Throwback Weekend almost every year they've done one. Cup is getting to where we're either getting some really boring ones or some repeats. And like I said, with the number placement, to me, it just kills the whole thing. So I would say maybe if we do want to keep this going, either put the number back where it goes or do it every few years. That way it kind of gives you more of a spread of and more time to pick some paint schemes. That's just me. So,
yeah, for sure. But let's talk. We both mentioned the Xfinity does an excellent job. Let's talk about the teams that really do it and really do it right. Okay. First off, Junior Motorsports. Junior Motorsports, not all of their cars run a throwback scheme. A lot of it is sponsor specific and stuff like that, and I understand that. But the 88 car of Connor Zilic, throwing it back to, I think it was Buddy Baker's Crisco car from back in the late 70s, early 80s, was awesome.
mm-hmm.
Jeremy Clements throwing it back to the old Skull Bandit car of Harry Gant in the early 90s was really, really, really cool. And then Jeremy Clements, but Kyle Sieg Racing with the 28 car specifically. Well, the 39 car as well, because those were Dale Jarrett throwbacks. Really cool, really good job. Now I understand because when you go and you listen to everything the driver said, the drivers were talking about it's sponsor specific. There's a lot of sponsors. They don't want to change their color. They don't want to change their font. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. They paid a lot of money for these races. Okay, and I get that, but as a sponsor, as somebody that would, if I owned a company or whatever and I was sponsoring a car, I want my car to be a throwback because guess what cars get talked about on TV? The leaders and the throwback.
Yep.
Um, so, of course, in the Cup car, there wasn't, but there were very few leaders. But those cars, the cars that were throwbacks, were the ones that got talked about. The ones that were not, unless they were running top five, I don't remember TV really even talking about them.
Mm-mm.
So, they talked about Josh Berry and the Wood Brothers car. They talked about it a lot through the race. So, they just really need to, and they need to kind of, when they first started this, they started with, okay, we're going to do from 71 to 75. We're going to do from 75 to 80, stuff like that. Different eras. They need to maybe go back to that if they're going to do it. But I agree, just every few years, we don't need this every year. Especially since the whole purpose of Throwback Weekend in the first place was because Darlington moved back to Labor Day weekend, the Southern 500. Well, then that became a part of the playoffs, and then the sponsors were like, well, we don't want to change and run special schemes during the playoffs and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, sponsors, if you're really worried about people seeing your car, maybe sponsor more races.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Good
Um,
point.
So yeah, let's talk about the Darlington Xfinity race. Really good race. Um, what? Let's see, 6 caution flags. Um, I really didn't see anything ridiculous except maybe the incident with the 10 and the 54 car. Um, that was crazy. And no, that was the Bristol race that I was thinking of where 15 seconds later, after somebody got spun out, somebody else kind of dove in there. But
Mm.
uh, it was a good race for Darlington, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
No, I thought it was a pretty solid race. A lot of good, you know, strategies and racing, and there wasn't a lot of lead changes, but there were enough to kind of make you wonder who would win. So
So yeah, and this is one of those races that always has more cars than what the uh, field needs. But I guess there is one incident we kind of need to talk about. It didn't bring out a caution, but it kind of ruffled some feathers when Ross Chastain was kind of running people up into the wall. Um, let's see, what was it Chase that he ran, if I remember correctly? Kind of pushed him up in the wall, and you know we just not too long ago got done talking about the need maybe for some cup drivers to go race in Xfinity, and you had Ross Chastain getting on to uh, 77 car.
Carson Hocevar.
Hocevar. Yeah. Saw him getting on to Carson a few weeks ago, and then he's going to go and do Darlington. It seems to be a Ross Chastain Darlington thing in the Xfinity series because it was when it was one of his first starts in top quality equipment at Darlington, where him and Kevin Harvick had an argument over some track position.
Mm.
So, but yeah, that kind of seemed to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite Ross has gotten better than when he first started, of course. But it seems like when he steps down a little lower levels, he's still a little too aggressive with some of the moves he does, and it can kind of not look good for him. But yeah, so
Yeah, because we've seen him race like that in the Truck Series too.
yep. So
But yeah, so let's see, top 10. Brandon Jones didn't win for 2 years with Junior Motorsports. Goes back to Joe Gibbs and kind of starts where he left off because he would have won that Martinsville race there at the end of and been in the championship for there at the end of his first run with Joe Gibbs had it not been for his teammate Ty Gibbs
yep.
wrecking him out of the win. But Chase finished second. Um, Justin Allgaier finished third. Chase Elliott. I guess I need to be more specific because there's more than one Chase in the fields these days.
Yep.
Justin Allgaier finished third. Ross Chastain fourth. Carson Quapple fifth. Connor Zillage sixth. Christian Eckes seventh. Nick Sanchez eighth. Sammy Smith ninth. And Sheldon Creed 10th. Junior Motorsports got all four of their drivers in the top 10. No. Yeah, all 5 cars were in the top 10 of Junior Motorsports. So, and then you can kind of throw Chase Elliott in there because that's kind of a combo team between Hendrick Motorsports and Junior Motorsports. So, man, he had over half the top 10.
Yeah, he did. So, and your fastest lap for there was Taylor Gray. However, he finished 33rd.
But he set that fastest lap on lap 2.
That's true.
Good first couple of stages for Harrison Burton. He won stage 1 and finished 5th in stage 2. And let's see, I'm trying to look here, and ended up finishing 13th. So he's doing. I think Harrison is better than the equipment. Because we know what that equipment has been for the past couple of years. But it's good to see. I was really, because we made a big deal about Harrison Burton going back to the Xfinity Series and not being in top tier equipment, and still, what could he do? Because he's always had the best of the best, right?
Right.
When he was with Cal Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series, the best of the best. He comes up to the Xfinity Series and he's with Joe Gibbs Racing, the best of the best of the best, right? And then he moves up into Cup with the Wood Brothers, the worst of the best. Because Penske's won the past 3 championships.
Yep.
But the Wood Brothers were nowhere to be seen. Of course, they did win at Daytona last year, but that's one of those things that can happen. So the big question was, what can Harrison do? He's not all that great in the points because he's not finishing where he should because of engine failures or wrecks or things, a lot of times beyond his control. But he's having an impressive season for what he's got. I think that shows his talent.
Yeah, I would agree. Because we did talk about this, and we've seen what the equipment has been doing before Burton had gotten in the car, and we see he's doing really well and probably past what's expected with the equipment he has been given. So definitely props to him. It shows you that he's got talent and is helping that team with strategies and setups and equipment resources, I'm sure. So
yeah, so for sure. So we move to the Cup race, and about lap 230, somewhere in there. Well, around lap 240, 241, 242, he pitted on 243. William Byron led from lap 1 to lap 243. First driver in forever to lead that many laps. First driver since stage racing to lead every lap in stage 1. Just a dominant performance. Had a hiccup on that last pit stop, which put him behind Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick, and he just was not able to really rebound. It looked like there for a minute Tyler Reddick was going to run away with it, and then here come Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin on newer tires, but 3-lap newer tires. Not a tremendous advantage, but again, like I mentioned earlier, tires at Darlington mean something.
Yep.
And then the whole craziness there at the end took off, but we start out on lap 2 with the greatest driver in the world wrecking.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And they went behind the wall and they fixed that car, probably to learn something for the playoff race later in the year.
Most likely.
But then the greatest driver in the world is coming up on leader Tyler Reddick. He's lapped down, or he's,
multiple
many,
laps.
like 150 laps down. But he just pitted, so he's got new tires. So he's coming up through the field. He sees Tyler Reddick bounce off the wall, so he hits the brakes because he doesn't want to interfere with the finish of the race. Gets spun out by Bubba Wallace, brings out this last caution. That kind of, shook things up somewhat. Really, all this did was cost Ryan Blaney a win. But it gives Denny a win. So his second in a row. And William Byron comes in second, a strong second. William was chasing him, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
The restart kind of hurt Williams' momentum a little bit because he started on the outside and just wasn't able to get clear for about a half a lap. So, but Byron finished second. Christopher Bell with the strong run in third. Tyler Reddick fourth. Ryan Blaney fifth. Chris Buescher sixth. Ross Chastain seventh. Chase Elliott eighth. Ty Gibbs with a much needed top 10 run finishes in ninth, and Kyle Busch in 10th. So, it was surprising, even though, of course, if you're not a William Byron fan, you probably doesn't like that he led the first 143 laps of this race. But this was an old school style race. There was a lot of racing.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to pass. They just weren't as fast as him. And at Darlington at the mile and a half, I don't mind seeing these kind of races where somebody gets out, they're able to take off, they're able to, if they lead every lap, I don't care. They were able to have the strongest car. So yeah, that's the top 10 for Darlington for the Cup race.
And your fastest lap for the Darlington Cup race was William Byron.
On the last lap of the race.
Yep.
But I enjoyed Darlington. But Darlington's one of those races that even when you have a blowout, there's stuff to enjoy because there's so much going on. Strategy, tire wear. It's not just a blowout. He had to manage his tire wear and all that. He did get saved by the Brad Keselowski. I'm not going to say spin. I'm going to say basically the Brad Keselowski tire lug nut falling off, because that's what it was called. It was a debris caution.
Mm-hmm.
The tire didn't come off. Brad didn't completely spin. Freddie Kraft said on Door Bumper Clear that the lug nut was down at the bottom up against the bottom wall on the inside, and nobody runs down there. There's no reason they couldn't have.
I'm not
So
surprised.
I don't know what's going on, but good race.
Yes. So.
Yeah, and then we move on to Bristol. We did have Truck, Xfinity, and Cup at Bristol.
Yep.
I'll let you give your thoughts on the truck race.
Okay. Well, as a Raja Karuth fan, the race was great in my opinion until it wasn't, due to some cautions there at the end. And I want y'all to keep in mind, Raja had spun very early in the race. He was spun out by somebody. I forget by who. But then bounces back off of strategy and leads a career high of 85 laps. So I was really excited while he was leading. I was like, heck yeah. There was also about 10 laps before that final caution where we were about to have quite a battle for the lead, because second, third, and fourth place had just caught up to Raja because of lap traffic and all that. And all four of them were fast, especially in traffic. So I was super excited to see how that might play off. But nothing. It seemed like nothing really. I don't know if they were just trying to save tires, but it seemed like once they got within each other, they kind of all calmed down a little bit. And then that final caution came out, and then yep, it was all right.
Well, the caution that got him. Let's see. He led to lap 221. The weather.
Yep.
Stoppage there a little bit. Kind of got him, but yeah, I agree. It was a really good. It was a really good race. You didn't know how it was going to play out until it played out. I mean, so, and it's always good to see talented drivers compete, but not drive away. In Bristol, short track, we don't, I mentioned Darlington. I have no problem if the leader drives away. Okay. At a short track like Bristol, the leader should never be able to drive away from the field in any series. And like you mentioned, it was going to be a battle until that caution came out. But it was a good Bristol race, not just for NASCAR, but for the Truck Series. It wasn't. It sure as heck wasn't Martinsville.
No.
The stupidity that we saw at Martinsville. So, I don't know if maybe some of these drivers got pulled aside by some Cup guys and or NASCAR really laid the law down on. I know they laid the law down on the Xfinity series, but really most of the truck races, even the Martinsville truck race, was good. Of course, the Martinsville Xfinity race was the big disaster of the weekend, but they've all been good this year, and they have not been the wreck fest that we've grown accustomed to in the Truck Series.
Yeah.
Even the short tracks that could be wreck fest.
No, I mean that just goes to tell you that these truck drivers are starting to get a little bit more of a grip of the car, of the truck, and you know their talent and skill set is starting to show off better because of the experience they are gaining, which can, you know, experience can go a long way, with these cars and trucks. So you can tell that they have gained a lot of experience, and it's really helped.
For sure. And you mentioned, I mean, your word right there, experience. We don't have a big group. I mean, we've got quite a few rookies, but we don't have the big group of rookies that we've had the past 2 or 3 years that's never driven these things before. These guys have been in these trucks for several years. They're accustomed to them, and the experience is starting to show. And I think that as the racing improves in the truck series, the fans and the ratings will improve with the truck series.
Absolutely, I would agree.
There's, there's just one problem with the truck series. Fox Sports. They
Yeah.
totally missed a couple of cautions. I mean, they saw the caution come out, but they had no clue why the caution was out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you've got two trucks up against each other. They're like, oh, that's what happened. That is terrible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, they are. I know they're not broadcasting at the track; they're broadcasting in the studio, and that's fine because the CW with the Xfinity races seems to be doing really well with that. They don't miss. And I don't know if it's that Fox doesn't have enough cameras at the track to have the track covered, the entire track covered 100% of the time, um, or what. But it seems like the booth seems to miss something every single week in the truck series. The cameras don't catch it. I mean, you know, we see a replay as the wrecks from, you know, the front stretch camera coming out of turn 4, or the backstretch camera coming out of turn 2. It's like, really, we don't have a camera on those turns the whole race.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, that's where these things happen. We should have, you know, so. And then with the commentators not knowing what's going on, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that will hurt the viewers' experience, because viewers are good if they turn that on and that's what they see. They're going to be like, "This is a joke. I'm not watching it."
Right.
So that's the one thing that can really hurt the truck series. So let's get some better people in the booth. You know, believe it or not, I would say Joey Logano does a really good job in the booth.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Little, she does an excellent job on pit road. No business in the booth. Phil Parsons, I'm sorry, dude. It's time to retire and let somebody younger come into the booth that fans are familiar with. I mean, you know, I'm familiar with Phil Parsons because Phil Parsons was racing back when I started watching racing. His brother Benny Parsons was in the commentary booth back when I started watching NASCAR. So I'm familiar with Phil Parsons and who he is in his career, and what he's done in his career. New fans are not.
Mm-mm.
So they just know him for the past 25 years in the Truck Series booth. So it's time for some new blood that makes it exciting for the fans. And then the other thing about the booth is there's no excitement.
Yeah.
You know, they're at the end of the race. Chandler Smith comes to win, and it's like Chandler Smith wins at Bristol.
Yeah. Very
It's like, well,
monotone.
yeah, I could have done that.
It's sad.
You know,
Very sad. So.
not Chandler Smith holds off the greatest race car driver in the world and Kyle Larson to win at Bristol. Chandler Smith beats Kyle Larson at Bristol. It's like reading a newspaper.
Yeah, Yes.
It's dull, it's boring, and it's out of date.
Yep. Wow.
Uh, anyway, top 10 for the truck race. Chandler Smith proves good decision, dropping down to the Front Row Motorsports in the truck series. He got into a winning truck, so he's able to win. And I don't think it'll be his last win of the year. So Cal Larson is denied the sweep for the second time by one position.
Yep.
So Corey Heim finished fourth, Tyler Ankrum fifth. Corey Heim finished third, Tyler Ankrum fourth, Ben Rhodes fifth, Lorraine Riggs sixth, Jake Garcia seventh, Caden Honeycutt eighth, Raja finished ninth, and Giovanni Ruggiero finishes 10th as a rookie. So good finish. Some of those guys needed some good finishes. Honeycutt and Ben Rhodes specifically really needed a good finish. So and then Raja, because he's been struggling a little bit this year too.
Yeah. So good racing. Larson. We'll talk about him more here in the next two races, but literally denied the sweep by one position. So that's okay. I'm okay with that because when we get to Xfinity, I've got some words for him. But yeah, he also had fastest lap, but since he is not a full-time Truck Series driver, there is no Xfinity fastest lap point. So nobody gets a extra point for this week.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you heard his interview. What he said to Kevin Harvick.
Yep, that's one way to press my buttons.
Well, I when I first saw it on X, I was mad. Okay. I was like, okay, this is basically the same thing as Kyle Larson back a few years ago when he said he's just using Cup to pay for his sprint car career. And he's just going to race Cup until he has enough money to drive sprint cars for the rest of his life without having to worry about money. So I kind of took it as that. But then when I actually listened to the interview, he kind of had some good points. He said, I'm running this series because I want to embarrass them. I want to embarrass NASCAR. Basically what he's saying is we are moving these kids up to Cup so fast that when they get in the Cup Series, they don't know how to race. Kind of going back to what we've talked about lately about the Cup drivers not racing in the Xfinity Series, so they don't have that that talent and that respect, and they don't learn how to race with respect like they used to back when there were 10, 15, 20 Cup guys in every Xfinity field. I disagree with Kevin Harvick said on his podcast where he said that, who cares if the Xfinity drivers aren't winning? I care. I don't want to see Xfinity dominated by these Cup guys. But I have no problem with a Cup guy going and racing once, 2, 3 times. I mean, they're limited to 5 races. If they go out and they are able to do what Kyle Larson did, which was basically dominate this race, okay, that's fine. But if we want to do it like that, let's do like they used to do back in the 90s, where if Kyle Larson wants to run an Xfinity Series team, Kyle Larson goes and builds an Xfinity Series car, and it's Kyle Larson Racing that enters that car. DEI started because Dale Earnhardt started running a car in the Busch Series for himself. He would run select races. Michael Waltrip did the same thing. He would run select races in his stuff. Dale Jarrett, same thing. He built those cars. Dale Earnhardt had a garage out behind his mom's house where he worked on his car. and it was him and some of his buddies. It wasn't a Richard Childress car that was put in the Xfinity Series. It was a Dale Earnhardt Incorporated car that Dale Earnhardt worked on himself. Let's go back to that if we want to have, and let them race. I mean, open the field up, put 43 cars in the field. If the Cup drivers want to show up, let them race. But they don't need to be racing Joe Gibbs equipment, Richard Childress racing equipment, Hendrick Motorsports equipment, Junior Motorsports equipment. Let them race their own equipment.
No, so yeah, I haven't heard the whole interview with Larson and Harvick, so hence probably the frustration with all I've seen on social media, because obviously people are going to take the worst of the worst and then post that, and that's it. But those are some good points. Yes, these guys, I would agree, these guys do move up a little more quickly, and they should be kind of slowed down. Want an example? Look at Ty Gibbs. I'm just going to leave that there. But so yes, I've said, yes, I like the Cup drivers coming down. I like them racing with Xfinity drivers, and because like you said, it helps them with experience and respect for racing. So putting a little more of the interview into perspective, okay, now I understand why he said what he said. And honestly, I would agree now, because these guys need to. They need more experience and more time to figure out how to race and not just be there at the right place, right time. Mm-hmm. So that would make sense to me. But
let me back you up, and this will probably get you back to where you were. He said, "I want to drive out and be leading by 10 seconds." What is that going to teach him?
That's not going to teach him anything.
Exactly. So had he left that part out, I would be perfectly okay with what he said. But to me, that's the part that got under my skin about it. I don't know. That probably kind of re-irks you back to where you were before, doesn't it?
A little bit. I mean, honestly, if you want to be like that, then start in the tail end of the line and then work your way up. If you get a 10-second lead off of that, okay, then we really do have some problems with some of these Xfinity drivers. But you're not going to start the race like that. There's no. Sorry, but no.
Yeah, right. It's like qualify, because you need to qualify to make sure you're in the show, because there were more cars than spots.
Right.
So if you need to qualify, but then at the beginning of the race, you're suggesting drop to the rear of the field. Mm-hmm. Just do something that NASCAR would call an unapproved adjustment and drop to the tail end of the longest line and see what you can do there. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to embarrass these kids, or not necessarily the kids, but NASCAR themselves, since they push for them to go up in each series so quickly, do that. And honestly, the best person to do that would be Kyle Larson, in my opinion. So that's probably one of the very few times you will hear me praise his name like that. So clip it, save it.
Well, this rule, when it first came about, it was literally called the Kyle Busch rule, because Kyle Busch was going down and he was running full seasons in the Xfinity Series and winning the championship and winning multiple races, and he was going to the Truck Series and he was racing multiple races, and he actually cost Ron Hornaday a championship. He wasn't running for the championship, but basically, if Kyle Busch could run, he was running. Mm-hmm. In the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. And so they made this rule that allowed Cup drivers only to drive a certain number of races. So this is the Kyle Busch rule, but if drivers are going to take advantage of that, which we talked about, we don't have any problem with them doing, I'm with you. I don't mind seeing them drop to the rear. I think that's an excellent idea. But I still think their starts need to be as limited as they are, because we got so tired of seeing Kyle Busch win. I mean, people would we get down to 10 laps to go. Kyle had a 10-second lead. People were turning it off because they knew nothing. Even if a caution comes out, Kyle Busch is still going to win this race.
Right.
Just because his talent level was above the drivers in the Xfinity series. Okay, I feel the same way about Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson does not need Xfinity experience. And my problem with this being at Bristol is I don't believe I want to go back to when NASCAR did not allow the Cup drivers to race the Dash for Cash races. I still think they should not be allowed to race the Dash for Cash races. Let the Xfinity drivers have those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think we could go on and on for hours about this conversation because it's great on some points, on some levels, and then on other levels, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And I think if you go and you listen to Kyle Larson's interview, when he started out with that point, he made really good points. But then when I want to have a 10-second lead to encourage them to get faster and catch up. No, because when these guys start pushing it, that's when they start making stupid mistakes and when they start wrecking each other.
Yep.
Go watch the Martinsville race.
Mm-hmm.
The Martinsville Derby.
Yeah, there you go. That was more like it.
Because when you push them to that point, that's what they're going to do. Is they're going to wreck each other and they're going to wreck you, and then you're going to look stupid either way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So top 10, Kyle Larson, Carson Quaffle, Justin Allgaier, Sammy Smith. Again, really good junior motorsports run. Brandon Jones finished 5th. He followed that win up with a good finish.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Love 6th. Ryan Sieg having an impressive year this year. 7th, Corey Heim in 8th with one of his few Xfinity starts.
Mm-hmm.
For Sam Hunt Racing. Christian Eckes in 9th, and Dean Thompson in 10th. So both Sam Hunt Racing cars in the top 10. Impressive for really, I'm going to say the lower half of the top 10. Basically from Ryan Sieg down. Impressive run by all those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So in your fastest lap, such a shocker, Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
I do want to point out though. Okay, so I'm gonna get off kind of actual. Well, I'm sticking on on racing, but I'm gonna get off the races for a second. Okay, so iRacing. Okay, you have your official races, right? Okay, the race. It's a weekly thing. The racetrack changes every Monday. Okay, that Monday through that Sunday, the track is whatever that series is racing at that weekend. Just so you understand. So last week, Bristol for all 3 series. I don't have a Class A license yet, so I don't have actual Cup Series availability for official racing. But I have I'm Class B, so I have Xfinity and trucks. I ran both series. I ran trucks quite a few because trucks was a lot of fun at Bristol, unless you were caught up in an incident because some of those guys don't know how to drive. And then I did it. I think I only did one Xfinity race, but it was a lot of fun. So I just looking at these lapse times is very interesting because I was either really close or I beat these lap times during those races. So just a random fun fact, really, but put me in the car.
So what line did you run? Did you run the high line or the low line?
So
for most of those races,
a lot of the truck races I ran actually depending on the race because it really depended on the people I was racing. Because you want to pick a line that's fast, yes, but you want to avoid the idiots at all cost. Sorry to say that. But most of the truck races, I ran the high line. I ran right up there against the wall, and I was pretty fast. The one guy that beat me, and this was the very first truck race, the one guy that beat me hit a 14.4 second lap. And that is fast for trucks. And he kind of was really nice. And he gave me, he told me what his setup was, and these are fixed setup. This was a fixed setup race too, so most of the setup was set, but you can do some minor changes. And he kind of told me there's a few minor things he did, and then he also said you just got to know when to send it and when to brake, because he used his brake a lot. I'm not one to use my brake a lot at Bristol, because to me, I feel like if you know what you're doing with your throttle response, you'll be fast. But that shows you, and like I said, he ran top line the whole time. So I kind of went off of that, and I was pretty fast. I think my fastest compared to him was a 14.8. Pretty fast.
That's fast.
So I'm pretty excited about that. And then Xfinity, I think I ran the low line. I ran the bottom a lot just because if it gave me room because I did slide a lot with the Xfinity car. And also there were a few times if you did go in at the top line, you were going to get very loose and fishtail and possibly spin or bump the wall. So I did a lot of low line racing during that Xfinity race. I can't remember the fastest lap there, but I know it was pretty good. So just some fun facts.
That's pretty cool. If you guys don't watch the streams that he does on his league that he's in, sorry, lost for words there for a minute. You go and check those out. Check out their Facebook or their YouTube page, because they do show race replays with commentary, and they're interesting to watch. So, you could, I guess you could learn a lot from a dummy comes up on iRacing, right?
Yeah, for sure. I do want to point out real quick, Bristol is not going to be broadcasted. None of the race admins had the replay. And so I think they've kind of just said, whoops. But to give these guys a break, it's their first official iRacing league. So not everything is perfect. Not everything is smooth. So Bristol is probably not going to be broadcasted. However, do look out for Auto Club, which we just raced. And of course, I'm really hoping they do Nashville, because Nashville is going to be a big race for us. So
for sure. So on to the Cup Series.
Yep.
Okay. 3 cautions. 2 of those were stage breaks.
Mm-hmm.
1 for incident. Which involved Cody Ware. Surprise, surprise. And SVG. Rick Ware, sell both charters. Tommy talked about how great of a guy Rick Ware is. Rick can be the greatest guy. His cars are scheduled tweet every week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, definitely.
So Kyle Larson dominated this race. There's really no other way to put it. But I'm gonna tell you, and we've talked a lot about we're not Alex Bowman's fans. We want to see Alex Bowman out of the 48 car. I had Alex Bowman in my fantasy lineup this week. I had him in the garage. Well, I had Josh Berry in the lineup. Well, Bowman was running way better Berry was running. He basically was 10th to 15th all day long.
Yep.
Well, Alex Bowman was running in the top 5 all day long. So I took him out of the garage, put him in for Josh Berry with like 2 laps to go in the second stage, right? And what happens within the first few laps of the third stage? Alex Bowman is like, I'm blowing up.
Yep.
So we have had some engine failures this year. Ryan Blaney's lost 2.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Bowman loses one, and these are teams that don't blow engines.
No.
So it was very disappointing for my fantasy to see Alex that happened to Alex, and that had to hurt him quite a bit to be running top five all day long.
Yeah.
Led some laps as well, not a whole lot of laps, but started on the pole, and just to blow up. Just I don't care who you are, that's heartbreaking
Yeah,
for a
absolutely.
driver. Um, but yeah, let's talk about these three cautions. Um, uh, Jared Haas posted. He says, with only three cautions displayed in the NASCAR Cup Series race at Bristol, this is the fewest cautions in a race at Bristol since the fall race 1982. I was
Woo.
5 years old.
Well,
1982.
that's sad.
Um, and to me, that's car. Okay. Um, now I have no problem with that, except for the fact that it's a short track. If this happened at Darlington, if this happened at Las Vegas, if this happened at Nashville, if this happened at Kansas, if this happened at Texas, Charlotte, any of those mile and a halves where we had three cautions and that's it, I am perfectly okay with that. At a short track, there's got to be some beating and banging and hurt feelings and mad drivers because they got spun out at the wrong time.
mm-hmm.
And this car does not allow for that to happen.
Mm-mm.
Um, uh, Denny Hamlin talked about this on his podcast, that the car needs work. And he's like, well, they're not going to mess with the car, so we got to do something with the tire. No, mess with the car.
Yeah.
Take the underbody off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What? Well, that'll cost money. How does it cost money to remove a part? Okay. And then Mark Martin said, and I agree with this too. He said, lower the front end, raise the rear of the car, and give them horsepower, because lowering the front and raising the rear gives a different downforce.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the underbody off gives a different downforce. And then give them horsepower to where they spin the tires coming up off the corner. If they're too heavy on the throttle, they spin the tires, they wear the tires. Okay, so you got tire wear, you got incidences, you've got all kinds of things that can happen. This car doesn't allow for any of that, and to me it's just terrible. It's a terrible thing. It's hurting short track racing. We've already saw Richmond used to be one of the best short tracks to watch. They've lost a date. We've got now we've got North Wilkesboro on the schedule. We've got two Bristol races. We've got Richmond. We've got two Martinsville races, and they're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of the car. And you know what? They're like, well, teams got to pay this. You know what? Teams have millions of dollars. They will find that money somewhere to pay for this. I thought I had retweeted some more stats, but I may not have. About this race and the things that things that were said, but I'm not. I'm guessing maybe I didn't. So, well, no, because that what I just passed was,
Mm-hmm.
um, and even in Jeff Gluck's good race poll, this got a 20%.
Yeah.
Was it a good race? Yes. Really? Um. Okay, here's another one. Oh wait, that's what I said. I said tear it up and make it like the late '90s Bristols. Give these cars 1,000 horsepower, low downforce, decrease the tire width, and bring the softest tire possible. Was my fix. So, but yeah, I'm guessing I didn't retweet any more stats. But check out the NASCAR stats Twitter page if you want some more um, ridiculous off the wall stats about this race, because the 3 cautions and Kyle Larson domination made for a not too exciting Bristol race, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's all you got?
That's all I got, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, you pretty much covered it. It was not a typical Bristol race at all, and
No.
it's kind of not a good race either, in my opinion. So the 20% that watched it, I guess they weren't really paying.
20% that said it was a good race.
Yeah, I guess they really weren't paying attention to say that. So,
well, they're probably Kyle Larson fans. I mean, who wanted to see Kyle Larson dominate a race, which if Kyle had went out Las Vegas and dominated it, okay, I got no problem with that. But a short track, this is kind of...
yeah.
And what it looked like we were going to get Saturday in practice, because there was some serious tire wear Saturday in practice.
Yep.
Because it was a lot cooler. They were looking like maybe we were going to get the Bristol race of last spring, where it was really cold and the tires, they didn't wear out. They just really kind of came apart, was really what it was. They chunked a lot, but they still had to manage their tires. They thought that was what was going to happen. Goodyear and NASCAR came together, gave the teams an extra set. They went out there, and then they didn't even use those.
Yeah. So.
But I do know one of the other stats was this had the longest green flag run since stage racing started.
Wow.
At any racetrack. And Bristol, being a short track, is not the track to have long green flag runs.
Yeah, I would agree.
Kyle Larson first, Denny Hamlin second, Ty Gibbs with another good run in third. Chase Briscoe with Chase is starting to really pick it up here. In fourth, Ryan Blaney fifth. William Byron, what a comeback. I mean, his car was junk in the first stage. They stayed out on that one caution. It got some track position, and that really helped. It really helped him stay up front. Ross Chastain 7th, Christopher Bell 8th, AJ Allmendinger with another impressive run in 9th, and Austin Dillon in 10th. Now, I am going to mention Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley.
Yes.
Both of them were having really good runs until that final pit stop, and it kind of bit both of them, but Carson was running second at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin had fallen back by that time, but Justin ran up front in the top 5 for a lot of the first half of the race.
Yep.
But man, what a heartbreaker for Carson. Second, I mean, he had a car that was capable of at least maybe giving Larson something to think about.
Yeah.
And then just had a terrible pit stop. My understanding is the jack broke, so they had to get a new jack on the wall. And this car is fast. This team is the driver's fast. This team is learning how to be fast, and being a team that's learning how to be fast, they're going to have these equipment issues.
Yep. Absolutely. But I mean, yeah, an impressive run by both of them. Both finished, top 10 finishes in both stage 1 and 2. As you said, Hocevar was up there in second. Haley was up there in second before that. So
yeah, for a long time.
They were both there. They were both getting to where they could, most likely maybe compete with Larson if they had stayed where they were at. But it's sad to see an equipment failure, pit road equipment failure of all things too. something that seems simple but can really be quite a big deal, kind of cost Carson. But I believe both of those teams will have their moments again. And I still 100% say one of the two, if not two of two, of those two will be in victory lane for sure. So.
Well, and I mean, throw Michael McDowell in there. He's had some good runs this year. Not so great at Bristol, but I think we called it before the season. We said all three or any of them or all of them could win this year. So this just proves it.
Absolutely.
They get pit road cleaned up. They've got fast cars.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they've got fast drivers, and you can't teach that.
Right. I mean, and it's not the first time we've seen Carson up front either since he's started Cup. No. I mean, he was right there at the end of Atlanta going for the win, So, I mean, they're all three more than capable. Once they connect the dots with, the last few final dots, they're going to be a team to beat. So,
for sure. And the thing about that is they're all three really good at the super speedways, and we got Talladega coming up next.
Yep.
Okay. Michael McDowell and Justin Haley for sure are excellent road course racers. We got some road courses coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Now Carson struggled a little bit last year on the road courses, but he didn't have a Michael McDowell helping him out.
Right. Very true.
So, I actually look for him to run really good at the road courses this year, because not only does he have Michael McDowell, but he also has Justin Haley, who's a good road course racer, as well. So, I mean, there's several races coming up in the next couple months that could put all three of these drivers in victory lane.
Absolutely. I would absolutely agree with that. So I'm ready for it, to be honest with you.
Josh Berry was another good run.
Yes, 12th. And he would, he struggled for a while. He did fall back, I believe, for a little bit, and that actually had me take him out of my lineup. And then he kind of bounced back from that. So, your Xfinity fast.
I think he had a bad.
Go ahead.
A bad pit stop in there. Sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but
no,
I think a bad pit stop in there, and that's kind of what set him back. But they were able to race back up, to where he was in that top 15, top 10 rank, or top. He was running between 12th and 15th basically all day, except for that one little pit stop hiccup. So,
it shows you his short track skills for sure. Your fastest lap. Okay, you didn't interrupt me that time. Was AJ Allmendinger. So quite big for him.
Yeah, and that means a lot to that team, because that team is running so well. Now they're not running consistently top 10, but they're running on average at least 5 to 10 spots better per race than they were last year. So they've Colleague Racing has made a lot of improvements. Even Ty Dillon is running better than what the 31 car ran last year. By a few spots every race. So, fun.
Yeah. So
fun, not fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something fun. At least for me, is the fantasy standings.
It's just fun for you because, as you said, standings, you're winning.
Well, coming out of Darlington, I had 1,533 points. You had 1,370 points. Our third, again, forgot to pick his lineup.
I guess I need to start reminding him.
1,240 points. Do you not get an email every Sunday about setting your lineup?
I do indeed.
I do too.
So
I've usually got mine set because I set mine right after qualifying.
Yeah, I do as well when I remember anyways. But yeah, I guess I got to start reminding him again. So, and then Bristol,
So yeah, and then after Bristol,
we were tied there for a while with what was going on because I kept tabs on it. So we were tied, and then I guess just overall finishes. I don't know what happened, but you beat me there by 12 points. So
yeah, well, I extended my lead to 17-34 to 15-59 to 13-92.
that's okay. You'll get your mid-season drought here in a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I'm going to run out of. I didn't realize I have already used Alex Bowman 3 times this year. This was my 4th race to use him.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I haven't used him that much. Same thing with Josh Berry. I'm like, what do you mean I've got 6 out of 10 left? I haven't used him 4 times already, and I guess I have. So
yeah, I know it makes it tricky.
Unfortunately, I didn't have him in my lineup the week that he won.
Yeah, I did. So.
But I didn't use Denny this week, which probably bit me.
See, I didn't use
because
Larson.
I knew. Oh, I did use Denny. I used Larson and Denny. My bad.
See, that's probably where you got me because I did not use Larson.
Well, see, Bowman killed me.
I had Blaney, Allmendinger, Hamlin, Hocevar, and then Barry ended up in the garage. I originally had Keselowski, but I switched them. Apparently, I shouldn't have done that. So I ended up.
Well, yeah, Brad was running really good till that last pit stop too.
Yeah. So, and I won. I don't think I won any. I won one of the 4 featured matchups. And that was
I got 2 of the 4.
Busher versus Elliott because I picked Elliott. I had Hamlin over Larson and Bowman over Keselowski and then Blaney over Briscoe. So 2 of these bit me in the butt by 1 position.
Yep, for sure. What got me in, Chris Busher, because I had him picked to beat Chase because he's run so well at Bristol the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when this race started, I knew he's starting towards the back, but then when this race started, he never went. He didn't go anywhere from there.
Yeah. It was
him and Logano both. They didn't go anywhere.
Well, next up is a fun one, actually, in my opinion. These are going to be exciting to see. I'm hoping. But Craftsman Truck Series and Xfinity Series makes the return to Rockingham Speedway for the first time in many years since NASCAR has been there. This is exciting. Again, we're seeing tracks come back, starting with Nashville Fairgrounds and now coming down to North Wilkesboro and Rockingham now. So super excited for this race. I remember seeing some of the testing videos that looked really good. So I think the races are going to be great.
And Casey Kane returns to the Xfinity Series this weekend too with the 33 Richard Childress racing car. Sponsored by HendrickCars.com. What a combo, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out as well, as a hardcore race fan, you should know this, of course, but that I love how Lionel picked up on the fans. What day is it? It's Casey Kane Friday. I don't even remember where that started. I just know as soon as it did, it immediately blew up within the fan base. And now that Lionel has picked up on it and literally used that to release Casey Kane's Xfinity diecast is amazing. So if we could get NASCAR to just do the same thing and actually look at their fan base and what they're saying, maybe they'd actually listen to us. Because apparently Lionel is.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, super excited for this weekend. Gives you a cup. Yep, here's my cup. Gives you a break from cup, so we can focus on trucks and Xfinity at Rockingham, which I think was a smart move. That way you're not taking away from your first race returning to Rockingham. So that was a smart move. I'm kind of jealous. One of the guys
and to get Easter off.
Also true. You do get Easter off. So I'm excited, but also jealous for one of the guys in the racing league. Y'all have heard him before. Good old Larry. Larry has pit passes to Rockingham. So I am quite jealous of that. But also excited for him. Hopefully he'll enjoy that. He does hate that he's missing the Nashville race, but it's like, as he said, y'all probably heard in this stream, family time, man, that's important. So make sure you spend time with your families, and if opportunities like this come up, take them, please. I still want to get Duke Ryder and other family members down to Five Flag Speedways for the Snowball Derby. I've gone twice and had an absolute blast both times. I hung out with Noah Gregson the second year I was there. Okay. You can't say that with everybody.
No, for sure.
So, yeah. So.
Yeah, and then we follow that up with Talladega.
Yep, Xfinity and Cup.
Two great weekends in a row.
So, yeah, a lot of fun. Super excited, especially for Rockingham. I can't say how excited I am. But I'm super excited. And then, of course, Talladega to follow up. I think we're going to have some two good back-to-back weekends of racing here. So, yeah.
Yeah, you were 2 years old, I think, when Rockingham had their last race. They've tried to bring it back before. They ran a Cup Series or a Truck Series race back in 2011 or 2012. Which Casey Kane won, by the way, which is one of the reasons he's coming to run the Xfinity race. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to see racetracks come back that we thought were dead and gone. Wilkesboro, Nashville Superspeedway, hopefully the Nashville Fairgrounds that you mentioned. Hopefully someday that will come back. And now Rockingham. One that will not come back is going to be Auto Club in California, the 2 mile. We're not even sure if they're going to do the short track out there. One of the Steve clowns said that, it's on pause right now. So I would also like to see Chicagoland come back.
Yes.
But I mean, the only thing that's there now, there's warehouses and a track. There's no parking or anything like that around there anymore. So I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't even be too offended to see Kentucky come back. And mainly I say this because those are racetracks, Chicagoland and Kentucky, that aren't terribly, terribly far from where we live. So, and then of course, if we were to go to Illinois, we've got a pretty nice place to stay that's like an hour away from there. So,
yeah. Very true. So last bit of news, because I completely forgot, it just dawned on me, but we have talked about sponsors, new sponsors coming in and sponsors coming back. Cracker Barrel's coming back, and they are sponsoring the Nashville Superspeedway's Cup race in June on Prime Video. Holy smokes, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, they used to sponsor a lot of races back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't remember them ever being on a car, but to see them anytime a sponsor comes back, it's a great thing because they're realizing again that the investments that they can make in NASCAR and the brand of NASCAR will help build their brand. Same thing with new sponsors coming in. You want to talk about a new sponsor that's getting a heck of a ride? Look at Progressive with Denny Hamlin. They won their first time out. They've finished second at Bristol. I mean, and seeing us at Cracker Barrel, we like Cracker Barrel.
Mm-hmm.
We eat at Cracker Barrel probably more than we should. um, so to see them come back into the sport and invest in the sport, because I'm sure it's not cheap to sponsor a race.
Mm-mm.
Um, so to come back into the sport, it's a welcome thing, to see. Hopefully, this is just a springboard into Cracker Barrel sponsoring more races or more endeavors, as far as the sport's concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. So awesome to see them back. We're still building on these sponsors coming back, which is a huge thing. So I look forward to seeing even more. Also, if you haven't been to a Cracker Barrel, find one. Okay, that's some really good Southern cuisine. Whether it be breakfast, lunch, dinner, man, it's whatever you get, along with a lovely biscuit or piece of cornbread. It's really good. I miss it. So, yeah.
And it goes really good with a nice tall glass of sweet tea.
Absolutely.
For those of you that live up north, come down south and we'll explain to you what sweet tea really is.
Yeah.
It's not sweet and low in your tea.
Or Splenda.
In your yeah, or whatever. It's real sugar and a lot of it.
Is it unhealthy? Absolutely. But do you care once you taste it? Nope.
Absolutely not.
So
for sure. Love these sponsors coming back and coming in. So couple great races to look forward to. Let's give some shout outs real quick for our non-sponsors. Check out these podcasts: Steam Vault Podcast, Door Bumper Clear, Dale Jr. Download, Actions Detrimental, The Teardown, Happy Hour with Kevin Harvick. Lots of cool people to follow on Twitter. Of course, follow all those guys as well. Dale Jr. has been making waves on X recently, and he's not been shy about some of the things that he said. Mark Martin, the same way. If you want a really good follow from somebody that is on the side of the fans, when it comes to a lot of the stuff that we talk about, Mark Martin is your guy for sure. So follow him on X. He's very personable. He'll have conversations with you. He'll talk to you. He's a very down to earth driver. He's from Arkansas, where we live. Great guy. Check out Bob Pockrass. Follow Matt Weaver. Follow Jayski. Follow Couch Racer, Brock Beard. And I will give a plug for Brock in his YouTube channel right now. He's got a 3-part series going up this week called about Cartoon Network's wacky racing teams. The Cartoon Network sponsored back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I started watching part 1 today, and he covers a lot of great stuff from the history of the sport, and he comes at it from a very professional but fun look at what these teams did and how it how it was birthed. And I mean, he goes back all the way to the beginning of cable channels getting involved in the sport of NASCAR. So go and check that out. Give him a watch. You got H&N TV on YouTube, which is SterlingRider's iRacing League. So go and check them out. And then, of course, our favorite, CircleBDiecast.com for all of your diecast, except for Hendrick Motorsports exclusives. Which unfortunately are just that. They're Hendrick Motorsports exclusives. And then First Class Diecast for your elites. So check out CircleBDiecast.com. Again, we want to give a sponsor plug. As far as if you want to sponsor us, Circle B, hit us up. I don't have any diecast reviews planned because we don't have any diecast scheduled to come in for the next couple of weeks. So what I might do, if I have some extra time over the next week or so, is just grab one of my favorites out of my collection and do a review on it. So we'll have to see. But that's all of our non-sponsors. You want to give a shout out to the sponsors?
Yeah, of course. So, of course, you've got Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend, really good energy drink, healthy for you, full of vitamins, and, of course, gives you energy you need. Also, they have shakers and a ton of tubs. So check them out. Today was their 4th B-Day birthday, so 4 years in the making. Probably by the time this is uploaded, though, that discount for their birthday is probably going to be done. So I apologize for getting that kind of out late. However, I did tweet it, so no excuses from y'all. So follow me on X if you want some good discounts. If not, you can always use code SterlingRider for 10% off at checkout with them. Next up, you got Rankest Rope Ranch Wear, which is your awesome Western and rodeo style mixture of attire. So check them out. Silver Duke 01 for 15% off at checkout. And then you got Undrdog Athletix, UDX, your faith-based athletic apparel for any sport you may play. Use code SterlingRider01 for 15% off at checkout for them. And then, of course, follow Him Apparel, your regular apparel that is faith-based. Use code SterlingRider for 15% off with them as well. Thank you to those guys. They have been with me, especially W and Rankest Rope. They have been with me since pretty much the beginning. And super excited to add on with UDX and follow him, showing off Christianity and faith, my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. It is Easter week, so happy Easter. May God bless y'all this week. Remember what it is for. So don't forget what Easter really stands for. I'm doing literally a whole Bible study this week, personally, to kind of break down how the days went. Because, of course, you had Palm Sunday all the way down to the Resurrection Sunday. So remember what Easter is for, please. It's not about the bunny and the gifts. It's all about Jesus. So,
for sure.
So with that being said, that is it for this episode. Actually short. I know, shocking. The biggest thing I want to push.
Well, when you have two races where the same driver leads the majority of the laps of both those races, there's really not that much to talk about.
Very true. But anyways, I do want to push really hard. Friday, Nashville race, the home track race, basically, for me. The podcast is sponsoring the race itself, and the podcast will also be the paint scheme on my car. So please share that. Let people know, even if the stream has already happened. If you've seen this after that stream had happened, just go back and watch it. It's huge way to push out the podcast some more within the racing league and other viewers. Also, another shout out to Elijah. We will be sponsoring him again during our week at Talladega, which is in 3 races. So next up is Nashville. Again, can't stress that one enough because there's so much being put into that one from us. And then we have Charlotte and then playoff start at Talladega. So super excited for all that.
For sure. So, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It helps move our videos up so that people can see them. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. I actually had somebody ask me this week, what does it mean to subscribe? How do I do that? So I walked them through how to do that. Not everybody's familiar with YouTube. So, yeah. But subscribe, share. You're more than welcome to share this with friends. We do share it when it does come on. We both will share it on X and share it on Facebook as well. So the more eyes we get on this, the more content we're able to do. So check out our other streams, our gameplay, our diecast reviews, iRacing stuff. Probably wouldn't hurt, if you get a chance, if you got some time, just to stream one of your races that aren't league, just to kind of have a little fun with that. I would have loved to have seen some of your Bristol truck stuff. So,
yeah, I thought about
check
it.
Check it out. More coming down the line, for sure, of stuff that we've got going on. Just keep an eye on our X feed. But if you hit that little bell, it tells you when we upload something new. So we just need you to hit 3 buttons on your computer. Hit like, the thumb, hit the bell, subscribe. And you've done for us everything that you can do. So, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys again so much. Your support is awesome and greatly appreciated. So we're growing slowly but surely. We are growing. So I appreciate you guys sharing and pushing it out along with your friends. So with that being said, we will see you after the Rock of Rockingham and Talladega. So that being said, y'all have a good one. Have a great Easter. Peace out. Right on. God bless.